Okay, welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to be doing something quite different. Pretty much I'm going to be analyzing a few games and focusing on this concept of discovered attacks. So let's get straight into it. So in this first game, e4 is played, and then we have e6, d4, d5, sort of main French line, and then we see e5 to close up the position a little bit. We then have c5 to open up as much as possible. This is main line. And we have c3 to cover this d4 pawn. Very normal position to start off with. And so black decides to play knight c6, also a fairly common developing move. And we see bishop b5 straight away. And so after bishop b5, there is this immediate discovered attack that can be prepared. So bishop d7 is played by black, and after knight f3, which seems like a very basic move to play, we have knight takes e5 as a move. And pretty much what happens is the knight is recapturing a pawn for free, because if the knight or the pawn recaptures this knight, the bishop can be taken for free. And if the bishop is taken on d7, as was played in this game, the knight can then recapture and overall has won a free pawn in the center. And that's a very nice example of a discovered attack very early on in the game that immediately wins a pawn for free. And that's the power of discovered attacks in chess. Alright, so let's hop into another game. So here we have d4 to start off with. So d4, d5, and then we see c4, which is Queen's Gambit, and then we see e6 played by black, knight c3, knight f6, very normal, basic developing moves. We have bishop g5, and then we see c6. We see knight f3, and then knight d7, which is fairly common considering c6 was played, strengthens this knight position. Sometimes people like to play bishop e7, maybe bishop b4. And so here we also see e3. And another important part about this knight move is that it allows this queen to escape for free without forcing the bishop to take on the knight on f6 and giving yourself doubled pawns. So now this knight also defends this knight, so this queen can move later on, as played in the game where queen a5 is played and queen c2 is played, which is fairly common. This is sort of a main line, or rather opening position, that is quite common. You see a lot of development. And black sort of has these undeveloped bishops, but he sort of brung out his queen fairly early, creating a pin on the knight. And so knight e4 is then played, trying to take advantage of this pin. The knight cannot recapture because of the pin. And so here we see bishop d3, which is also not a bad move, as it sets up um, to take this knight in two ways, winning the pawn. However, it is in fact a bad move because of what follows, and this is a very interesting attack and discovered attack rather that black is able to find here. And so after knight takes bishop, knight takes knight, and then d takes c4, we have the pawn attacking the bishop, and because this pawn has been removed from d5, the queen can then come to attack the g5 knight. So here we have a discovered attack, forking both the bishop and the knight, and so after the bishop recaptures on c4, the knight can be captured with the queen. It's another really interesting and very powerful discovered attack that actually wins an entire piece. So let's go on to the third and final game, which is probably one of the most common strategies, or rather tricks, that is played by black against the French. So let's see it. e4 is played, e6, basic French line. We see the similar position to the first game, and then we see c3, knight c6, then we see knight f3, and then the queen comes out to b6, which is fairly common to put more pressure on this pawn. and it is defended currently by 3 pieces as well, so that's not a problem. But then a very sneaky move, bishop d3, and I admit this has been done to me before quite a few times, and I have never really truly understood the purpose of this move. If you just take for free one pawn only, but well, the trick goes as follows. So c takes d4, which is expected. You realize that this pawn is only defended twice, and it's actually attacked 3 times. So you then see knight takes d4, and then after knight captures on d4, the queen captures on d4, and here you have this lovely discovered attack potential where the bishop comes to b5 with check, and the queen is now targeting the d4 queen. And here we have a very simple but very common tactic that creates a discovered attack to win the queen. So if the bishop, say for instance, blocks the check, you then can just take the queen for free, or something more simple, you take the bishop with check again, and then after the king recaptures, you take the queen for free, and this is just a free queen altogether. So here we see from these 3 games that from winning a pawn to winning a queen, all these games provide a way to create discovered attacks, and discovered attacks are, in fact, one of the most common and one of the most interesting ways of being able to gain an advantage over your opponent and win games of chess. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.